Greetings, Executor. I am Judicator Sindrix, and I have been tasked by the Conclave to assist with bringing you up to speed on the history of our people. It is my aim for you to have better understanding of the events that have led the Protoss to this point in time. I wish to provide you with a clearer picture of the threats we now find ourselves against. While most of our records are fragmented and somewhat lost to time, we do know that we once crossed paths with a race of godlike beings known as the Xel'Naga, our name for the wanderers from afar. It is the understanding of the Conclave that these beings of immense power and intellect seeded life across the barren stars, shaping creation itself in pursuit of the perfect life form. A goal that appears to have both eluded and disappointed them relentlessly over many millennia. We know that they eventually arrived at the vast and vibrant world that we know as our home, Aya. When they looked, they noticed that a race unlike any other was already present. They were fast, strong, and adaptable, thriving in the chaos of the wilds. This race hunted in tribes and lived by both strength and unity.
The Xel'Naga watched in absolute awe. For the first time, they saw a species rise above mere survival, a race that could think, feel, and build together as one. They named them Protoss, the firstborn. For centuries, the Protoss lived in peace beneath Aya's canopies, unaware of the divine creators. But the Xel'Naga's curiosity was insatiable. They sought to push their children further, guiding them toward full sentience and self-awareness, and in time, the Protoss reached it, achieving brilliance in thought, art, and spirit. To the Xel'Naga, it was their crowning achievement. And so, at last, they revealed themselves to their creations, never suspecting that this act, born of pride, would ignite the first great tragedy of the stars. The Protoss spread swiftly across Aya, their civilization blooming in brilliance and ambition. What began as scattered tribes soon coalesced into a single unified rule, a golden age born under the gaze of their creators. When the Xel'Naga descended from the heavens to walk among their children, the Protoss rejoiced. They welcomed their makers with reverence, eager to learn from those who had shaped their very existence. The union between the two races seemed harmonious, knowledge flowed freely, and curiosity thrived.
Our hunger for understanding was unrelenting. We probed the mysteries of the cosmos, the fabric of thought, even the boundaries of our own minds. And yet, with enlightenment, came arrogance. As our wisdom deepened, so too did our pride. What had once been a proud people bound by unity began to fracture. Our tribes withdrew into isolation, valuing individual achievement over collective purpose.
The creators, once elated by their success, now looked upon their creations with despair. They had sought purity, but instead, they had kindled ego. The Protoss' telepathic harmony, their Khala bond, began to unravel, replaced by suspicion, envy, and fear. And in time, reverence curdled into resentment. Rumors spread like wildfire. Whispers that the Xel'Naga were manipulating them, using them for some hidden purpose. The psychic link that once bound every Protoss mind began to fade, their empathy drowned beneath waves of pride and paranoia. When word spread that these so-called gods planned to depart Aya, panic gave way to fury. The Protoss, blinded by betrayal, launched a brutal assault upon their creators. Great world ships burned in Aya's skies, hundreds of Xel'Naga perished, slain by the very beings they had nurtured from dust. Grief-stricken, the survivors fled into the void, abandoning Aya and the children who had murdered them. In their absence, silence fell, and then madness. The Protoss turned their rage inward. Tribe clashed against tribe in an endless spiral of vengeance. This dark age became known as the Aeon of Strife, a war without mercy, fought for centuries until memory itself turned to ash. Worlds burned, continents shattered. The Protoss, once the firstborn, paragons of unity, became butchers, tearing their world apart in blind fury. Entire generations lived and died knowing nothing but war, their ancient bond long forgotten. And as Aya bled beneath their feet, the legacy of the Xel'Naga was all but lost, replaced by fire, ruin, and silence. For countless millennia, Aya burned under the fires of civil war. The Aeon of Strife had twisted the proud firstborn into little more than beasts of rage. Their cities reduced to dust, their memories drowned in blood. Yet, from the ashes of that ruin, a single voice rose above the chaos. His true name is lost to history, but his followers would come to know him as Khas, he who brings order. Khas was unlike the warriors and warlords who ruled the shattered world. A mystic and seeker of truth, he delved into the forbidden remnants of the Xel'Naga's wisdom, and through his studies unearthed the ancient Kadarin crystals, relics of impossible power, left behind by the gods themselves. And when Khas attuned himself to the crystals, something extraordinary occurred. For the first time in thousands of years, the song of the Protoss, the psychic harmony once shared by all, resonated within a single mind. Through the crystals, he felt the thoughts, grief, and fury of his entire species. It was overwhelming, a flood of agony and despair, but in that maelstrom, he discovered a truth long forgotten. The Protoss had not lost their bond, they had merely forgotten how to hear it. Armed with this revelation, Khas began to teach others. He gathered young warriors, minds untainted by centuries of hatred, and showed them how to reconnect with the ancient cord that linked all Protoss. And as they opened themselves to the bond, clarity replaced madness. They saw their endless wars for what they were, meaningless echoes of pride and pain.
Khas forged from this awakening a new philosophy, a path that could guide our people out of darkness. He called it the Khala, the path of ascension.
The Khala demanded that every Protoss abandon selfish desire and embrace unity once more, to surrender the ego and through shared emotion and thought, rise together toward enlightenment. It was not a command, but a calling, a return to the purity their creators had once envisioned. And slowly, tribe by tribe, the Protoss began to heed Khas's message. Ancient blood feuds were set aside, warriors laid down their blades. The psychic link, once severed, began to pulse again with life. Those who followed Khas became known as the Khala, a term meaning the unified. Under their guidance, Aya began to heal. Cities were rebuilt and knowledge once lost to the flames was rediscovered. For the first time in generations, the Protoss stood as one people.
And thus ended the Aeon of Strife. From chaos, order had been reborn, and the second age of the Protoss had begun.
With the Khala guiding their minds and spirits, the Protoss undertook a profound transformation. Tribal divisions faded, replaced by a structured society bound not by blood or territory, but by purpose and discipline. In this new order, all Protoss were organized into 3 castes: the Judicators, the Khala, and the Templar. The Judicators were the elders, the thinkers, the statesmen. Charged with governance under the yielding law of the Khala, they became the stewards of Protoss society. Among them, a council of the wisest known as the Conclave wielded ultimate authority, ensuring the unity of the race and the sanctity of the path of ascension. The Khala formed the heart of the Protoss: artisans, workers, scientists, and builders. They restored the shattered homelands of Aya, tending to its cities, spires, and fields. Through their labour, the Protoss regained the knowledge lost to the Aeon of Strife and laid the foundations of a thriving civilization.
The Templar, holy warriors bound to the Khala, became defenders of the Protoss and Aya alike. Trained in the ancient disciplines, they pushed their psionic abilities to heights unseen, becoming the ultimate guardians of our people.
Under this new order, Aya flourished. Cities rose where rubble once lay, the sciences long forgotten were rediscovered. And in a few centuries, the Protoss ventured beyond their homeworld, spreading their influence across hundreds of systems, reclaiming nearly an eighth of the worlds once overseen by the Xel'Naga. But expansion brought responsibility. The Protoss adopted the Dael, the Great Stewardship, a sacred charge to watch over the lesser races under their protection.
Unlike the Xel'Naga, we did not manipulate the development of these species. We merely safeguarded them, ever vigilant against threats hidden in the shadows, guarding countless worlds without revealing ourselves.
Thus, the Protoss became both architects and sentinels of the galaxy, their minds unified, their purpose clear, and their vision guided by the enduring light of the Khala. Even as Protoss civilization flourished under the Khala, a shadow lingered at its edges. Not everybody embraced the path of ascension. Some tribes, fiercely independent and unyielding, feared that surrendering to the Khala would erase their individuality, leaving them little more than tools of the Conclave. These dissidents became known as rogue tribes. The Conclave, fearing the contagion of their ideas, decreed that the rogues must be removed. But the Templar, led by a young warrior named Adun, could not bring themselves to slaughter their own people. Instead, Adun sought a different path: to guide the rogues, to teach them mastery over their latent psionic gifts and perhaps sway them toward the Khala. Yet, without the discipline of the path of ascension, their powers were wild, untamed. Surges of raw psionic energy tore across Aya, ravaging the land with storms of unimaginable force. The Conclave, appalled at the failure of the Templar to enforce their will, faced a dilemma. To punish Adun and his order would publicly reveal the existence of the rogues. To that end, a decision was made: exile. Adun and the Templars swore secrecy as the rogues were loaded aboard an ancient Xel'Naga vessel and cast into the void of space. Forevermore, they would be known as the Dark Templar. In time, the legend of these exiles spread across Aya, a tale of defiance and independence. To sever themselves from the communal link of the Khala, the Dark Templar ceremoniously cut their nerve appendages, isolating them from the psychic bond that united all Protoss. Freed from the path, yet unbound to its harmony, they drew upon the dark, infinite energies of the void to fuel their psionic might. Hunted and feared by their own people, the Dark Templar became solitary wanderers, guardians of their secrets and silent watchers of Aya. Though exiled, their love for their homeworld endured. From the shadows of space, they continued to safeguard Aya in ways the rest of the Protoss could never see. The Protoss watched silently as humanity arrived on the edges of their space. These volatile, short-lived humans intrigued the Protoss. Though their technology lagged behind, their adaptability and resilience were remarkable. Over 2 centuries, humanity established colonies on over a dozen worlds, thriving despite internal conflicts and the harsh conditions of their new homes. Yet, the Protoss were troubled. Humanity's expansion was reckless, stripping worlds of their natural resources without thought or care. Bound by the Daul, the Protoss could not interfere directly, forced to observe and restrain their desire to guide or correct the Terrans' ways. It was during a routine scouting mission that disaster first became apparent. High Templar Tassadar, leading an expeditionary force, discovered small alien constructs drifting near Protoss space. At first nondescript, closer study revealed them to be deep space probes, biologically engineered for reconnaissance. Their origin was unknown, but they were clearly headed toward the Terran colonies of the Koprulu sector. Tassadar returned the probes to Aya for study. Using the Kadarin crystals, the Protoss found that the probes responded to the crystal's energy, a revelation that shocked them. Only beings shaped by the protogenetics of the Xel'Naga could interact with the crystals in such a way. Even more alarming, fragments of thought repeatedly emerged from the probes.
Find humanity. Eradicate. Learn. Evolve.
The Protoss quickly realized that a new, powerful threat had arrived, one rooted in the Xel'Naga's ancient experiments. Wherever the bulk of this mysterious race roamed, the Terrans were in danger. A heated debate erupted within Protoss society. The Judicators argued for caution, even annihilation of the Terrans if they were already compromised. The Templar, however, guided by the Daul, insisted that the Protoss had a duty to protect the lesser races under their stewardship. In the end, it was decided. Tassadar and his expeditionary force would monitor the Terrans and assess the danger. Boarding his command ship, the Gantrathor, and accompanied by a fleet of Protoss warships, Tassadar set a course for the Koprulu sector, prepared to face whatever new horrors the galaxy had unleashed. Arriving in the Terran sector, Tassadar's scouts quickly confirmed the worst. The mysterious alien threat had already begun its devastation. On the fringe colony of Chowsara, the surface was chocked with a thick, corrosive substance that ate away at the planet's crust. The alien organisms had either assimilated or slaughtered most of the human colonists, leaving behind only ruin. Horrified, Tassadar wondered why the Terrans had not already mounted a defense. When the Conclave learned of Chowsara's fate, they ordered Tassadar to incinerate the colony, raising all life in a final, merciless strike. Reluctantly, he obeyed, unleashing the fire of the Protoss warships upon the surface. The infestation was destroyed, but Tassadar knew that other nearby worlds likely suffered the same fate. Ordered next to destroy Marsara and any other possibly infested colonies, Tassadar's conscience began to rebel. When a Terran fleet unexpectedly arrived to defend Marsara, Tassadar hesitated. He could not bring himself to annihilate innocent lives along with the alien threat. Refusing the genocidal command of the Conclave, Tassadar withdrew his fleet beyond the range of Terran sensors. From there, he watched, waiting for a way to confront the alien menace without destroying humanity in the process, as the encroaching threat continued to spread across the Terran worlds. And this brings us to the end of not only the Protoss side of things, but the end of the Starcraft Lore Before series. I have also done videos for both the Terrans and the Zerg, which you should absolutely go and watch to help give you the full picture of how everything ties in leading up to the start of the first game. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. It genuinely means a lot to me. And if you haven't already, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell to stay up to date with the latest releases. I'm working on a couple of other videos in tandem for the channel, which I'm hoping to have done sooner rather than later. This is a new thing for me, so I'm still trying to figure out an upload schedule, so just bear with me for a minute. See you guys soon. Thanks.